Tonight's episode brings us a voice of transformation, Susan Michel. From the depths of despair to the serenity of joy, Susan's journey embodies the healing power of truth and surrender. As the author of Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity, and a teacher of A Course in Miracles for over 3 decades, she shows us how peace, love, and joy are not distant ideals, but natural states we return to once we release our inner blocks. Welcome to the show, Susan. It's such an honor to have you.
Thank you, Anya.
So, Susan, your story begins with a moment of deep despair. Looking back, what do you think your younger self was truly searching for in that moment?
Yeah, I remember my suicide attempt when I was 20 years old. That was my deepest, darkest depression. And what led up to that was the fact that I was searching for my happiness in the world. I had a lot of internal blocks that were unconscious, and I did not know how to process these pain points. So instead of trying to solve my angst, look at the pain within my unconscious mind that needed healing, what I started doing is I started searching in the world for my happiness. And when we search in the world for our happiness, it can never be found. So I thought that if only I could become glamorous, if I could become a fashion model, well, then I would develop the inner confidence that I was searching for. So I went through a series of steps. I got some plastic surgery. I put together a portfolio of pictures. I sought after a modeling agency to represent me. I got everything that I wanted in my external world. But even though I got what I wanted, that inner angst did not go away. And then I became really scared. So that's when I tried to commit suicide twice. I ingested 6 bottles of sleeping pills 2 times. And what I've realized since then is that the world cannot satisfy me. Like when we think something in this world, whether it be a relationship, whether it be money, whether it be a job, if we think something in the world is going to satisfy us, we are wrong. Nothing in the external world can satisfy us. And also, we all have unconscious pain points within our mind, and that's what we need to identify for that healing to occur. So I've learned a lot since that happened 40 years ago. And that's what I teach in my podcast and in my book. And that's what I continue to study in A Course in Miracles.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And how did you realize you didn't want to die, but wanted to stop the pain, shift everything?
That's right. I thought on one level that I wanted to die, but I realized that I did not want to die. I just wanted to kill the pain. There was so much pain within me, and because I wasn't given the emotional tool to heal the pain, I didn't know how to identify the pain. So the pain just consumed me. I mean, basically, the world sees depression and sadness as the same thing. But in actuality, they're opposites. Depression is when we completely disconnect from our emotions. So what depression is doing, it's stopping us from growing. It's stopping us from healing. And that's what I was experiencing at the time. I was experiencing a deep depression. On the other hand, Sadness is on the other side of the depression. Sadness is what needs to be felt in order for healing to occur in most instances. And if I was just open enough to allow myself to feel the uncomfortable feelings that were in my unconscious mind, I would have been able to heal. But I was scared. I didn't know how to do that. I mean, again, I didn't want to die. I just wanted to kill the pain. But in order to eradicate the pain, I needed to allow myself to feel those uncomfortable emotions. I needed the tools to open to feel the uncomfortable emotions, such as sadness. I'm sure there was a lot of anger. There were a lot of uncomfortable feelings that needed to be felt in order for healing to occur. But because I was so scared at the time, I was just completely shut down. My family was very uncomfortable with their emotions. My mother and my father were very uncomfortable with their emotions. So they never taught me to feel my own pain. They never gave me the tools to process uncomfortable feelings. And this is what I have learned since then. This is what is necessary in order for growth to occur. We need to open ourselves up to feel those uncomfortable feelings. Like Oriah Mountain Dreamer wrote in my favorite poem, The Invitation, she writes in the middle of her poem, I want to know if you can sit with pain, yours and mine, without trying to hide it or fade it or fix it. It's so important to own the pain, because on the other side of the pain is peace and joy. And that's what I've learned since then.
That honesty is such a breakthrough. It reframes pain not as an enemy, but as a message calling for healing.
That's correct. That's correct. That's how we can transform the pain and find the inner peace that we are searching for. That is what A Course in Miracles is teaching us to do. I mean, A Course in Miracles is a non-dualistic thought system. And what it says is that only the love is real. The introduction of A Course in Miracles says, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And what that means is when our mind is aligned with the thoughts of love, we are happy. We are filled with joy, are connected to the truth of who we are. That's why I entitled my book, Surrender to Joy. My book is Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. I teach the transformational truth of A Course in Miracles, because really what it's about is we need to surrender our will to the will of our higher self. I call that entity God. It's a place of unconditional love. And that place is always with us. This is something that we are a part of. God is the sun, and we are all rays that are coming from the sun. God is the ocean. We are all waves coming from the ocean. We are only going to be happy when we recognize our complete dependence upon God. You don't even have to call it God, but it's this state of unconditional love that we are all a part of. But in order to really align ourselves with the mind of God, in order to come from this place of unconditional love on a consistent basis, what we need to do is we need to identify the blocks to love. And when we can identify the blocks, when we can identify our fear, when we can identify our wounds, then we can choose to release it. And the more blocks that we can release, the more we can live from a place of peace, love, joy, and happiness. In the introduction of my book, there was a brief paragraph that got downloaded to me from my higher self that really speaks of my core message. And what I write is my passion is God. God is love and joy and beauty. He is all that is good in the world. Everything else is our own miscreation. When we are filled with joy, we are connected to God. When we are not joyful, we have lost our connection to all that is real. This is my message. It can be clarified with 3 simple words: surrender to joy. There is nothing to find. All we need to do is surrender. Course in Miracles teaches us to become happy. Course in Miracles teaches us to remember the truth of who we are, which is unconditional love. And it teaches us how to attain the enlightenment that Jesus attained while he was here on earth. But it's not about finding anything. It's about remembering who we truly are. So there's nothing to find. We just need to remember how much love we have within ourselves.
Absolutely. And when you first discovered A Course in Miracles, what about it spoke so deeply to your heart?
When I first found A Course in Miracles, I was 25 years old. I was living in Manhattan, and I was invited to a Marianne Williamson lecture. Marianne Williamson is probably the most well-known interpreter of A Course in Miracles. Many people think she wrote A Course in Miracles. She did not write the book, but she does a very good job interpreting it because the text is very difficult to understand. So when I heard Marianne Williamson talk about the meaning of A Course in Miracles, everything she said just made so much sense. I knew that I had found my path home. It's just, she was telling me things that core truths. She was telling me core truths that I had been searching for. I remember when I went to church as a child, the church, there was some good things about it. I always felt, I was always drawn towards Jesus, to Jesus. I liked the fact that God was unconditional love. I liked the whole concept of heaven. That seemed really fun and something exciting to look forward to. So there were things about religion that I liked, but there were a lot of things about religion that just didn't make sense to me, that I couldn't wrap my head around. So when I heard Marianne Williamson interpreting A Course in Miracles, it just really hit home. She spoke about heaven. There was no hell. She spoke about God. There was no devil. Her message was only the love is real. And that's the message of A Course in Miracles. It's a non-dualistic thought system. And that's really what drew me in. It just resonated with me, not even on an intellectual level, on a soul level. Like I knew it was telling me what I needed to know in order to grow closer to God, to that state of unconditional love.
Definitely. And was there a particular lesson or idea that instantly changed how you saw yourself?
Well, there was a lot of valuable lessons that I learned in A Course in Miracles. In the church taught me that Jesus attained this state that I could never attain. I could never achieve. Jesus was holy, but I could never attain that state, no matter how hard I tried, because he was very superior to me. And A Course in Miracles taught me that everything that Jesus did, and this is biblical, this is biblical as well as from A Course in Miracles. everything that I have done, you can do also and more. Course in Miracles is actually, it was scribed by Helen Schuckman and William Thetford, two professors of medical psychology at Columbia University in Manhattan. It was published in 1972, and they and Helen Schuckman scribed the words of Jesus Christ. So it's a Christian thought system. It's the words of Jesus. And what A Course in Miracles taught me is that everything that Jesus has done, I can do also and more. So that same Christ-like essence that existed within Jesus exists within me. It exists within all of us. And with certain disciplines, we can live that life. So it's just very, very beautiful. You know, there were words that I found years ago when I was a teenager. It was in an astrology book that's very analogous to the words of A Course in Miracles. It is part of the preface of Linda Goodman's Love Signs. And what she writes is, Jesus himself never claimed that he was the only one who was divine. What I have done, you can do also and more. Go thou and do likewise. These are not claims of spiritual exclusivity. What was being demonstrated were manifestations of the divine within each of us, miracles we all could perform, though not without certain disciplines to bring mind, body, and emotions under control. And this aligns so well with the teachings of A Course in Miracles. Everything that Jesus did while he was in body form, we also have the ability to do. It's just about connecting, aligning ourselves with God's mind, aligning ourselves with the power of love that we're all a part of. And then we can all be conduits for God's divine love. That's what A Course in Miracles is teaching us to do. And A Course in Miracles is also telling us that we can't get back to heaven alone. What is heaven? Heaven is a state of mind, you know, that's just it's just complete and total unconditional love, unconditional joy. That's what heaven is. And we need each other to get back to heaven. So when I'm searching, when I'm feeling less than, when I'm feeling lack, my solution is to extend God's love to my brother. Be a conduit for God's divine miracle. What is miracle? Miracle is anything that comes from love is a miracle. So if I'm feeling less than, what I need to do is open myself up to God's divine love, extend that love to my brother. And by extending that love to my brother, I remember how much love I have within me. So miracles are all about win-win. Nobody loses. There is no sacrifice in God. A Course in Miracles is very clear about that. You know, the religion talks about sacrifice. Course in Miracles says, no, there is no sacrifice in God. God is love. You know, when we're sacrificing, we're not connected to God. We're connected to our ego, A Course in Miracles calls it. And an ego is not about love. It's not about God. So there is no sacrifice in God. You know, the energy of God is so uplifting and empowering and joyful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing how a single truth, once embodied, can begin rewriting an entire life story.
Yes. I mean, A Course in Miracles is not the only path to heaven. What is heaven? Heaven is a place of peace, love, joy, and happiness that we can attain while we are here on earth. But A Course in Miracles is one clear path to heaven. A Course in Miracles focuses upon forgiveness. Because when we are connected to our own innocence, when we embody the essence of innocence, we can really remember the truth of who we are. So A Course in Miracles is very clear that this earth is a classroom. We're here to learn lessons. We're here to heal. And the way to hear God's voice is to embody the essence of innocence. And the only way we can truly embody the essence of innocence is to forgive our brother totally and completely and forgive ourselves totally and completely. So when we can truly forgive, not because we want to get brownie points and get into heaven in our afterlife, it's not about proving to God that we're good. It's about being happy. And in order to be happy, we have to embody the essence of innocence. And the only way to do that is to forgive. So I say forgiveness is probably the fastest way to heaven, and then Course in Miracles also talks about gratitude, being grateful for everything that we have in our life, and acceptance, accepting everything in our life exactly as it is right now, and these are all traits of the energy of love. Whenever we can show compassion to ourselves and to our brother, whenever we can embody the energy of love, we are closer to God, and we are going to live in a more joy-filled state. Also, everything is energy. God resonates at a very high energetic frequency. So in order for us to hear the wisdom of our soul, in order for us to follow God's guidance, we can't be down focusing on everything that's wrong with our life. We don't want to be down filled with guilt and resentment, because then we can't hear God's voice at all. But when we can forgive our brother, when we can embody the essence of innocence, our energetic frequency will raise itself, and we can hear the words of God, because God is always directing us. Our happiness comes from following his words, following his wisdom. But when we follow God's wisdom, we're not following the wisdom of something separate from ourselves. We're following the wisdom of something that we are a part of. We are a part of God. So we need to listen to our higher self. And when we can listen to the words of our higher self, this is how we can live a life of peace, love, joy, and happiness, which is our destiny. It's what A Course in Miracles is teaching us to do.
Yeah, totally. So, what an inspiring journey Susan has shared with us tonight. A living example that joy is not found by running from pain, but by facing it, releasing it, and uncovering the love that was always within. If you have been searching for peace or struggling with hidden wounds, let Susan's story remind you healing is possible, joy is your birthright, and love is always present. Keep surrendering, keep trusting, and keep choosing joy.
Thank you so much, Anya. And if anyone wants to find out more about me, my website is surrendertojoy.net, www.surrendertojoy.net. And my book is available on Amazon. It is Surrender to Joy: From Suicide to Serenity by Susan Michel, Michel. It's a wonderful read.